Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about the moon, and I really hope no one is watching all of these because I do repeat myself at the beginning of every video. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about my absolute favorite moon. My favorite people in the world have Scorpio moons, and so let's see, let me try to do it. So I've said this before, I've said it a bunch of times, but I like to think of the moon as the kind of little baby that you are. And Scorpio moon people are little detective babies, little baby detectives. That's what I'll call the Scorpio moon. So the reason why I like to think of the moon as a baby is because that is a part of yourself that has these basic needs that you can't deny it. You can deny other parts of your chart, but the moon is just something that is just like your basic needs. And that reminds me of a baby because babies have very few basic needs, but they need to have them, otherwise they die or they start crying and they just explode. So also the moon is associated with mothers, but you can't really have a mother without a baby, and you can't really have a baby without a mother. That's also why the moon reminds me of babies. Okay, so the moon is two things. It's your emotional reactions to things, and like those reactions that you have that come from your gut, and it's also your needs. As I've already said, that's how I connected to the baby. So the sign of Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, and Pluto is a really controlling planet. And if you want to take it to, like, if you want to do traditional, Scorpio is co-ruled by Mars, so Mars and Pluto, and I think that that's important to think about whenever you're thinking of the sign of Scorpio. So the Scorpio moon is the most repressed and internal moon of the whole zodiac. And I think maybe that's why I like it so much. I probably like it because I have a Venus in Scorpio. So whenever you think about, like I said, the moon is your emotional reactions that come from your gut that aren't logical. The Scorpio moon is going to have the slowest, most controlled, most repressed reactions. Probably the slowest compared to, like, number one would be Scorpio, number two would probably be Capricorn and Taurus maybe. So they would be the most repressed signs because they're not very forthcoming with their feelings. So why? What is the reason for that? The reason for that is because, as I've said, they're ruled by Pluto. And Pluto is a sign that wants to be in control at all times. And it comes from a place of control because they don't want to be hurt. So that is essentially what the Scorpio moon wants to do. It wants to protect itself from being hurt. But at the same time, Scorpio moons operate from a very deep place because Pluto, as I've said, that rules that Scorpio moon is coming from Hades, you know, like Hades, hell, like the darkest places, like, you know, hell, like the darkest place that you could think of. That is where the Scorpio moon is operating from. And the moon in Scorpio is in its fall, I believe. Is it in detriment or fall? It's not a good place for the moon. And why? You would think like, oh, it's a water sign. Why is it not a good place for the moon? Well, the reason it's not a good place for the moon is because it is extremely dark there, and it is a water sign, so the moon should operate pretty freely and easily in a water sign, but Scorpio is just too intense for the moon. So that is why it is a difficult place for the moon. So the things that the Scorpio people feel, they feel them at a very deep level, and not only that, but when you have a moon in Scorpio, you're exposed to things that are darker, that maybe other people haven't experienced. And that's why you've seen a lot of suffering and you've been around a lot of suffering, and you yourself have suffered if you have a Scorpio moon. But that is not something that you so readily want to share with the world because it is such a private part of yourself. Because as it is already, the moon is a private part of yourself, but when it is ruled by Pluto, that planet that wants to control things and keep things under wraps, that is very difficult. So Scorpio moon reactions are non-existent almost, but remember that is Scorpio is also co-ruled by Mars, so when they do blow, they blow, and it's really bad. But it takes a long time for that. You also want to look at the house placement, and you want to look at the person's Mars to really see how their behavior is going to act. So let's talk about their needs. Okay, so what do Okay, and yeah, Scorpio moons will always seek to remain strong. They're never going to show you their, like, weakness. It's very rare that they'll show that to you. They always want to appear strong and in control. Think about Pluto and how Pluto likes to be in control. And another thing is that they are very quick, you know, it's the Scorpion. They're very quick to bite back whenever you hurt them. You should know that you've hurt them if they tell you something untoward, like something mean, and you're just like, where is that coming from? You probably said something that hurt them, and that's why they're doing it, because they're very quick to protect themselves, and in order to protect themselves, they think that they have to sting you. That's a very big Scorpio Moon thing. They'll never show their pain, like no matter how deep it is. They just won't show it. So, okay, so let's go on to the needs. What do Scorpio Moon people need? More than anything, they need intimacy and personal closeness with somebody. They really can't survive without feeling extremely intimately close to another person. Usually that's like their partner, the person that they love, or you could have a friendship with somebody and really be super close to them. They need to feel that they know everything about you, and that the most private things about yourself, that you're going to share them with that person. Like, that's so important to them. They also need to have emotional safety. They need to, even though they're not expressive in their feelings as it is, they need to know and trust that they can express their feelings with you, because eventually, hopefully, they find that one person that they can share their feelings with, and it's really important for them to have that, because they experience a lot of feelings as it is, and they hold them in. So it's really important for them to have just one person at least that they could go to with their feelings, that they won't feel judged, they won't feel like the person's gonna pry, because they don't like prying. It just doesn't work. So they really need to feel emotionally safe in order to do that. Another thing that they need is trust. As I've said before, trust is really important to them, because they tend to be suspicious. You know, Scorpio is a suspicious sign. They tend to be suspicious of other people, and they need to know that they could trust that you're going to tell them, that you're going to disclose information to them, because they're detectives. They like to do that anyway. So they need to trust that what you're telling them is true, and they will verify it. So they also remember that they're co-ruled by Mars. So they really need that intensity of feeling. They really like to be involved in deep, intense emotions, so they might get themselves embroiled in situations that have like really intense themes or really intense periods, and they really need them. Those things bring them to life. They give them life. Whenever you have a Scorpio Moon, like, you need that intensity in order to feel alive, and they're comfortable with it. So they also need someone who is truly devoted to them. Scorpio is like a jealous sign, and not like possessive in a Taurus way. So like, they don't like want to physically like own you, but they do need to feel that your connection with them is the deepest that you have, and that you don't share that connection with somebody else. They could be jealous with you meeting other people or having other friends at times, because they want to be the closest to you. They don't want you to be as close as you are with them with other people, and that is so important to them. And you can't do like something that is special that you guys have done together. You can't do it with somebody else, because they're absolutely going to hate that. And yeah, what else? Okay, so lastly, I like to look at the sister sign of the sign in order to show you what you might need in a relationship. Because remember that relationships are ruled by Libra, and that Libra, those scales, really talk about balance, and you really want a partner that is going to balance you out. So what balances Scorpio out? The sister sign of Scorpio is Taurus. So what does this Scorpio Moon person need in a relationship, aside from the things that we already talked about? They also might need a partner who is going to show them and remind them to not go so deep into the feelings, and stay in the here and now, and stay in their physical body. So bring them down to earth. Even though it is really important for them to express their feelings and to feel very deeply, it is also important for them to remember, like, hey, like, come back to earth. Don't just stay down there in the depths. Like, you have to stay here on earth, and maybe enjoy like the physical pleasures that you might forget whenever you're like really deep in your feelings. So maybe something good to eat, like something that feels good on your body, just somebody that keeps you in your body and takes you out of your feelings, Scorpio Moon. That would be beneficial for you. So guys, that is the video for today. I hope you liked it. If you did, make sure you give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe. I put videos out every single week, and I'll see you in the next one.